What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about OnyxCoin today, XCN. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, you guys, and let's get into it. I was looking at the Onyx DAO, looking for some news. There's nothing new that they've posted in the last 18 hours. Look at OnyxCoin right here. I was just going through and reading some of this stuff. A lot of this stuff we already know about, but the Onyx wallet, the smart Onyx wallet, I just think it's kind of this thing in the background that seems like it's not that big of a deal, but I think that big things can have small beginnings, and this is that kind of small beginning of a big thing. This smart wallet on Onyx can allow for a lot of integration and use on the Onyx ecosystem, I think, and it's pretty interesting because you can have a gas-free wallet where you could just send OnyxCoin and receive OnyxCoin, buy OnyxCoin without any transactional fees, as far as I know. I think that's the purpose of it, right? A non-custodial gas-free wallet built on Onyx, designed for users to access their funds anywhere they go. And that's pretty big, because considering one of the first things they say here whenever you're reading, you just see it's designed for financial grade applications, cross-border payments. Cross-border payments is cool, but you make that gas-free, that's even cooler, man. Be cooler if you did, and it's coming soon. I think that'll be a nice bullish thing to get hyped up over. And then, of course, just reading through, just looking at all this stuff. Onyx AI agent. This whole thing right here, Onyx AI agent, is a blockchain-based autonomous agent that operates across EVM blockchains to automate smart contract development, token transfers, and on-chain workflows. It monitors network activity, responds to triggers, and executes tasks without human input, enabling scalable and intelligent dApp automation. There's entire crypto projects that this is what they are. And OnyxCoin has this and more, right? It's got all this stuff, all these different things going for it. You can stake and get 28.6% APR, right? And that's like every minute or every 10 minutes you're getting just like a little portion, not 28.6%, but that's over a year you're getting that. And as the year goes on, this percentage will diminish. You probably at the end of this year you won't have 28.6%, but it will go down. You'll probably have like 20%, 25%, whatever. Who knows how far down it's going to go. I feel like this has been dropping a lot more recently. And that's only because the more people stake, the more of this daily emission gets split up amidst people, the more of that pie gets thinned out, right? So, but there's just a lot of cool things going on with OnyxCoin. That other projects, like this thing has several things. Like literally, it's even got, what was it that I was reading here? Hold on, I was looking at this. Even talking about RWAs, right? Real world assets, yeah. Optimized for institutional adoption, supports enterprise-grade financial applications, DeFi, real-world asset tokenization. There's entire crypto projects. You guys, you understand this, right? There are entire crypto projects that are just this, right? There's entire crypto projects that are just this. There's entire crypto projects that are just this, right? And then you got the AI. You've got all these different things going on with it, man. It's pretty cool. It's pretty damn cool. And I think this thing's undervalued as hell. We look at OnyxCoin here. There's a burn mechanism in it, right? Every single time that we're transacting XCN, I'm pretty sure it's every time we transact it. Let me see here. Hold on. What was it? I was reading about it right here. Oh, let me see. Was it here? No. Hold on. Oh, there we go. No. Where was it? Yeah, powered by OnyxCoin. All transaction fees are settled in XCN, and a portion of that XCN is burned. So yes, every transaction you do in XCN, the fees are settled in XCN, and a portion of that XCN is burned. So maybe there's no burning if it's on the ledger. Then if it's gas free, would that make sense? Or does it still get burned? Maybe it's gas free, as in you're not paying Ethereum gas, but you still have to pay a transactional fee. I don't know. I'm not that smart with stuff like this. But anyways, it's deflationary. OnyxCoin is deflationary. As time goes on, you guys, there's only going to ever be 48.4 billion OnyxCoins, and actually, as time goes on, there will only be less than that. I'm actually curious should I take a screenshot of this? Maybe I'll take a screenshot of this real quick. Hold on. Let's do that. We'll go ahead and print the screen, and then full screen, sure. Just to remember, just for funsies. Did he get it? Yeah, I did. All right, just for funsies. We'll see how that goes. It's really not a large amount that's burned every day or every month or whatever. and it would be every day, every transaction, but it's not a large amount that's burned every month, but I'm just curious to see what that amount is. Maybe we can keep track of that. Anyways, let's get into the XCN TA. Here we are on the 20th of June, 7 hours, 48 minutes left, right here at 1.34 cents. Haven't really moved too far. We're down about 2% on the day. Bitcoin's down about not even 0.5% on the day. I'm going to delete all this stuff here because we just got so much going on here. We don't need all that. I feel over encumbered. 1.34 cents now. Looking at the 1 hour time frame. If we're looking at the MACD, and we are looking at the MACD, we've got a fresh cross to the downside. The oscillators have crossed below the zero line. You're looking to push lower probably, right? We will likely see lower prices here, and in correspondence with that, I would expect a lower low than this low here. Lower low than this low here, right? We're probably going to go down to about 1.23 cents or lower. Looking at the stochastics, we're aimed downwards, looking as though we want to get into the oversold zone. When we get oversold, we maintain those readings for a good little bit, it seems. So I would think that, and that's oftentimes whenever the move really starts to progress down, right? Here, you got oversold. When you got oversold, it's basically like right here, right, with the blue line. You got oversold like right there, and you had a lot more to go, slowly but surely, formed some bullish divergence, and then you turned it around. Got oversold here, right there, right? So a little bit like halfway through this move, like probably right there, and then you just continue to bleed down for about the next day or so. We're not even oversold yet, so I would expect that between now and the end of this weekend, we will be at lowered prices. I'm hoping that we get done with this move sooner than later so that we can have a nice end-of-month rally. But who cares what my hopes and dreams are? It's very possible that we do continue to drop going into next week, but I am optimistic for some kind of end-of-month rally, end-of-month pump, a little bit of recovery going into the end of June here. If we're looking at Bitcoin, I'm actually kind of curious. What's the month like? Yeah, the month is red. We want this month to close green. It's not a big deal if it closes red, but I want this month. I think we would all stand to benefit if it does close green, because if it's red, this isn't a Bitcoin video, but that would promote like double bearish divergence on a lot of different time frames. So this is why, again, I think in the next 10 days, 8 hours, we will close up at higher prices than we are now across the space, but we have lower to go first. So I think we will see a nice little end of month rally. 1 hour time frame looks bearish. RSI looking like, you've got lower highs, lower lows, the whole shebang. Kind of a flat base here with lower highs. Odds are you probably are going to get into this oversold area. Looking at the 1 hour time frame, this would imply then that the weekend will likely be bearish, and maybe even going into next week will be bearish as well. We're probably not going to move down in a straight line. We're not just going to move down like this consistently, right? You might find support here and there, maybe find a little support, come up, find some support again, come up, and then continue to drop. Maybe you'll form some bullish divergence, and by then it's Sunday, it's the end of the weekend. We've made our move down over the weekend, and then we're ready to recover going into next week. Something like that could make sense. Looking at the 4 hour time frame here, the stochastics are reaching for the oversold zone. Again, getting oversold on the stochastics tend to allow us to drop. I mean, it kind of goes hand in hand with dropping. Sometimes it's very stagnant, slow bleed. Sometimes you pick up the pace. We've been stagnant for a little while, so I think we will pick up the pace by the end of today, if not going into tomorrow. The MACD here is building bearish momentum. We're crossing below the zero line on the 4 hour MACD, which is not good, so we're probably going to break out of this range soon. And again, just coinciding with that idea that by the end of this weekend, we should be down at this 1.1 to 1.23 cent area, something in there. Nothing too crazy, right? Nothing too crazy, but just a little bit lower. A quick little shakeout, and then boom, then we'll rip. I'm expecting that we rip early next week, going into the end of the month. Looking at the daily time frame here, we are building bullish momentum, which is nice to see. It is nice to see, but it doesn't mean yet that we are ready to move up. And if we continue to move down, it depends on how we do this. We could see prices down at 1.23 cents. We could see prices down here and lower and still build bullish momentum, as long as what we do is something like we close here, and then tomorrow we wick down, and then by the end of the day we come back up and we close here. We would still be building bullish momentum. Getting lower lows, building bullish momentum, that's actually a very bullish thing, right? But the stochastics look like they want to go into the oversold zone. I would think that if the stochastics do, if the RSI does, and they probably will, it'll at least get down to that oversold area. I would think that we see one last drive of bearish momentum being built. Here you had it being built, right? Histogram, building right there in the deep red. I think you'll build it again just a little bit. You'll have higher lows throughout. Double bullish divergence is what that will be. And then you'll also have bullish divergence on the stochastics and the RSI, setting up for an immaculate bounce and recovery. It doesn't matter. All I'm trying to say, I guess, with the MACD here is it doesn't matter if we flip it bearish, as long as the momentum, the histogram reading, doesn't get below this reading here. Yeah, we get something that's a little bit weaker than that. I think we will. I think we will. We're moving down over the last 2 days, and we're building bullish momentum right now. So that move, that insignificant move that I'm calling for, I don't think that it'll push this histogram reading below this here. I think we will have double bullish divergence there. And then again, that all lines up with exactly what we've been saying throughout this whole video, throughout the past week, is that we have just a little bit more to go. And then once we see that, we're going to probably have the right environment for a nice, massive recovery. When OnyxCoin finds its lows, whenever it actually finds its lows, even the relative lows, man, it gets a nice pop. These pops that we've seen here are very weak, are very uncharacteristic of OnyxCoin, right? A 14% pop, not so much. Low to high, okay, this one's actually a little bit more characteristic, 24%, but even that's weak, right? This is what we're accustomed to in a day, right? 40% pop, something like that. I'm thinking that something like on a 30 to a 40% pop from this low area, let's just see what that would take us to. I mean, that would take us back above 1.6 cents. And I would think that we're even higher than that by the end of the month. Maybe we're at 2 cents. Maybe we're more than that. OnyxCoin can move up very, very fast. And again, just the perspective that I want to offer here for XCN is that whenever it moved up, right, here's this coin. Here's this coin that dropped off. It sold off. Nobody cares about it, right? It's just all low. It's got a little recovery going on. That's cool. Nobody cares about you. And then boom. Now everybody, whether you're invested in it or you're not invested in it, right? Week after week, from November 4th all the way until January 20th, November 4th, so December, January, right, over all of November, all of December, most of January. That's like almost 3 months of price growth. For 3 months, you guys remember, XCN was at like the top of the list on CoinMarketCap for growth and on crypto bubbles. You could watch large YouTube accounts, very large YouTube accounts, pulling up crypto bubbles, and they wouldn't even address XCN. Why? Because they're not holding it. They weren't paid to shill it, so they're not going to talk about it, right? Why would they talk about it? It's up a lot. It's the biggest performing thing. Their viewers want them to talk about it, but they're not going to talk about it because they're not being paid to shill. So it's on everyone's radar. Whether or not these large accounts are talking about it, right? We were talking about it. I know that there were some other YouTubers that were talking about it. Shout out to Crypto Future and Economic Ninja, right? There are a lot of crypto YouTubers that were talking about it negatively, but they're just, I don't know where they are. They're probably talking smack about other cryptos now. But most of the large accounts were not addressing this. That doesn't mean that people didn't take notice. That doesn't mean that the ecosystem, that the participants in the crypto market didn't take notice. People took notice, right? Now it's a scam again, right? It's just dropping. Okay, this is a one-off. It's going to zero. We never believed that, right? We believed that this was going to come back up inevitably, and inevitably it still has more to go. Absolutely it does. This is kind of validating to the speculative side of people who are like, is this legit? Is this going to maintain? Okay, no, it's just going to pull all the way back down. But it didn't dump, right? It was methodically, systematically consolidating here. It's like a grand design of people's psychology with this thing, right? If you're looking at it, you missed out, you missed the boat, you don't want to chase the pump. Now you had your chance. Some people probably took their chance. They DCA'd, they bought the low, they didn't look at this, and then like a couple months later, they're like, oh wow, look at this, here we go, it's actually at a low price. Maybe I'll make a play off of this. I'll buy in at these prior areas of support here, or something like that. We're at relative areas in the fib. If we take a relative low here to a relative high, a lot of cryptos are finding support at the 0.5. Maybe I should buy here, something like that. And then there's a good bit of people who probably were aware of this but didn't take it upon themselves to buy, and then it pumped, and they're like, I missed it again. Look, it is legit. This pump here, whether you believe it or not, trolls and haters, I think this pump here actually validates a lot of what all the OnyxCoin people, all the XCN believers are saying and thinking, is that this thing is going to go to new highs, right? Whenever you see this kind of reaction, very bullish reaction, no volume on the way down, but you've got a lot of volume on this way up here, it's a positive thing. It makes you think there is going to be more to come, right? And now, not only is it on everyone's radar with this massive pump, it's validated itself. and it's given people an opportunity who've been watching this thing silently, right? They're not going to talk about it publicly until they're making massive gains. They're not going to talk about it, but I would assume that we're going to see a lot of larger YouTube accounts probably start talking about OnyxCoin once it moves up, right? That's probably what's going to happen, because now they'll be a part of it. Now they've had time to make their plays, to buy in, and whenever they're buying in and they're making money, that's doesn't matter if they're being paid to shill it or not. They're not going to be paid to shill it, right? Because that's just not how this thing works. They're going to talk about something that's even more bullish for them, even something that's more incentivizing for them to talk about, and that is gains, right? YouTubers love to talk about their gains because that brings in attention. That makes them seem legit and certified, right? So they're going to make their plays here. They're going to buy it up, and then whenever it goes up, I'm assuming that we're going to see a lot more attention on this thing, and the whole space is going to start to recognize this for what it is, man. It's really a game-changing bit of innovation. It's kind of interesting, the lack of knowledge that a lot of people had back here. I remember there were, and some people would post links to like various YouTubers who would say this thing has nothing going for it. There's no tech behind it. There's no news driven events. Meanwhile, week after week after week, what's interesting is there was all this news and all these developments that got had throughout this consolidation phase, and all we did was go lower. So like these YouTubers who are saying there's no news backing up the pump, so it's a scam. Well, you guys don't know what you're talking about. News doesn't matter, right? The news came out after the pump, as it normally does, right? The pump moves first, and people were theorizing that it was just a short squeeze, that's why this moved up, just showcasing their lack of knowledge, right? I'm wondering if they're taking it more seriously now, right? Because there's been a lot of development that's gone on. This thing, again, has more going for it than a lot of projects do in the space. It's got designs implemented in it that are just a portion of what this whole entire thing is supposed to be, right? Like the AI agent. And there's cryptos that their whole project is just to have one AI agent, right? They've got that. There's cryptos that their whole project is to be DeFi. That's what the base foundation of this thing is, right? And it's got the burn mechanism in it. Real world assets, right? RWAs. There's cryptos that's their whole design too. This thing's got all of that, all in one, man, and more. I'm drawing a blank here, but I'm just rambling. I'm ranting at this point, so I'm going to end the video there. If you guys liked the video, hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. All I'm trying to say, really what I was trying to say is, puts it on people's radar. Damn it, why didn't I buy before? Ha, glad I didn't buy that. Damn it, it is legit. Okay, now I have an opportunity, right? And I think people are going to start to seize this opportunity. We're going to see XCN in the limelight on this next move up because, again, it's going one place and one place only, you guys. From a high to a low, we're anticipating that it goes all the way up. All the way up. You're going to see a nice 19 to 24x by the end of this next endeavor. It's going to be put on the map hard, man. It's going to be put on the map hard. And then by then, everybody will buy. It's going to be on everybody's radar then. It's everybody's going to buy late. It'll probably consolidate. We'll have one last little run throughout the rest of the cycle. We'll be at like 15 cents to find support or maybe lower. And instead of seeing a 20x like we did before here, like we will here, right? Everyone's going to be like, it's going to see another 20x. It probably won't see a 20x. It'll see like a 10 to a 16x, and that's where we'll stop, is about $1.70 to $2.60. I really wouldn't be surprised if by the end of the cycle, you guys, we were somewhere in this area here. Probably not all the way up at 260, at least here at $1.03. We're at 1.3 cents now. You can stack, you can stake, you can load up the truck while it's hot, while it's cold, whatever you want to call it, and then reap the rewards later. I got nothing else for you guys. And again, by the way, with all this development that's taking place, like this, I really can't think of another project that's like OnyxCoin, you guys. I don't think this is something that's going to be here and gone, right? This is something that's here to stay. And if you're thinking long term, like I am, as great as this will be, let's look at this real quick, right? What we're talking about. Let's say I'm wrong and it goes all the way up to a $2.60 price. Maybe not. I don't think it does it. Let's just say it goes to $2, okay? Because I think it does stand a chance to go to $2. Maybe I need to put it from over here actually. Let's see. About $2. That's a 152x. A 100x from here would be about $45 billion. It'll probably be a little bit more than that because new coins will be circulated, right? Put into circulation. Let's just say $45 billion and for 100x, and then 50x on top of that. Is that like 170? Let's call it like 170 billion, right? $170 billion. No. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. What was I thinking? 45 billion. What the hell was I thinking there? It'd be worth 70 billion, not 170. $70 billion. $70 billion in market cap valuation. That's nice. But in time, this thing will be worth, I think, hundreds of billions of dollars going into the next cycle. 70 billion is cool, but we could double that, triple that, quadruple that, right? And if you're doubling, tripling, quadrupling 150x, I mean, just do the math. Over time, and you're staking on top of that, the staking, the APR will go down over time, absolutely. But you can still stake over time and then just long term think this thing could really see prices that are up around $5, $10. You never know, right? And that might be achieved by the end of the next cycle. So if you're even if you're looking for the long term hold on this thing, I think this thing actually has longevity in it, and it's gonna be something that's very very relevant. I really do compare it to Solana. And not as far as tech goes, as far as growth goes, as far as attention goes, and I think that this will be the soul of this cycle, right? People always ask, or wonder, how did people know to invest in Solana so early, right? And there are a lot of people who invested in Solana early. They might have sold at various places. They didn't see the vision and they didn't hold on long enough. But that's why we're talking about this, so that you can see the vision and you can hold on long enough if you want to. You don't have to, right? Not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but I think this thing is comparable and will be comparable. I think people next cycle, how people are talking about Solana or Dogecoin this cycle because they're stuck in last cycle, right? They compare SWI or Hyperliquid to Solana. Next cycle, there's going to be people that are comparing XCN or their coins to OnyxCoin. That's kind of my expectation. It really is. And I used to not. I've not always been like this. I have not had this kind of state of mind for OnyxCoin, right? I've for a long time talked about once it goes up, I'm going to sell, I'm going to get out. That's it, right? I'm done. Not here, but all the way up, cycle ending stuff. I'm going to sell at the end of the cycle and we'll think about reallocating later. Only recently, and especially with all these developments that have taken place, have I really considered holding this for the long term. When I say long term, I don't just mean a year. I mean until the next cycle. I will take profits at various places, of course. I think everybody should take profits, but I think we've got a safe asset here, man. I think that when we're done growing by the end of this cycle and we come back down, our bear market lows will be at higher prices than we are now. So in that kind of sense, you've got a safe asset, right? I don't know, man. I'm rambling at this point. I'm ranting, but hit the like button, subscribe. Hopefully I didn't scare anybody away with all that talking, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.